Hey y'all, welcome to another episode of THKD. Today I'm going to be talking about last night's Danzig show, which took place in Reno, Nevada at the Golden Sierra Resort. I was lucky enough to talk my wife into going up there with me to see Danzig for the second time, and of course it was phenomenal. A really excellent four-band bill, which of course consisted of Danzig, Venom Inc, Power Trip, and Mutoid Man. All were very good. And I'd like to just kind of talk a little bit about each band. First up was Mutoid Man, who I wasn't at all familiar with. I knew absolutely nothing about them. Found out later today, just kind of researching after the fact, that it's Stephen Brodsky from Cave In and Ben Collar from Converge's band, which, again, I had no idea. I never really followed that scene. Converge kind of lost me after Jane Doe, and I never really got into Cave In. Heard a couple of their songs, and certainly I know of their existence, but not a band I ever really listened to. But regardless of that, Mutoid Man surprised the hell out of me. They blew me away. They were an incredibly entertaining band, and if you haven't heard these guys or seen them, I can't stress enough that you need to check them out. I didn't know what to expect at all, but they were really, really good. Just an excellent power trio. Kind of proggy, kind of classic metal, maybe a little bit of metalcore thrown in, which I'm not like the biggest metalcore fan, but I guess, they kind of sort of come from that scene, so I guess maybe a little bit of that influence was in there, but mostly just really classic metal with kind of a progressive feeling and some hard rock, maybe a little bit of that kind of Motorhead power trio vibe in there as well. A whole just mixture of influences that really were put together well. Very good songs, cool riffs. I, even not being familiar with any of their stuff previously, I was able to get into their set no problem because the songs were that good. Certainly I couldn't tell you song titles off because like I said, totally unfamiliar with the band, but I really enjoyed their set. And, I'm looking forward here in the next week or so to start checking out their albums because really impressed with them, and quite frankly, they were my second favorite band of the night, and behind Danzig, and that's saying something. A band that I was totally unfamiliar with, just kind of coming out of nowhere and smacking me upside the head with some really good riffage. I appreciate that, and Mutoid Man has definitely won me over that last night, and I will be checking out their albums here this week, thanks to our good friends at Spotify. Next up was Power Trip, who I was familiar with, of course, Nightmare Logic, which came out last year, their second album. Is that their second album? I think so. Fuck, I don't know. Because maybe I'm not that familiar with them. But anyway, Nightmare Logic came out last year, and it's just a fucking excellent album. Probably one of the best modern thrash albums I've heard. There's certainly been a lot of kind of retro thrash bands and what have you, pizza thrash bands and all that shit. But Power Trip are the real deal. They are a really kick-ass thrash metal band. Obviously quite Slayer influenced, and I think also probably a lot of German thrash influence there. But they also they're from Texas, and they have that kind of Pantera-ish groove to some of their music. Not to say that they really sound anything like Pantera, but that's just kind of the vibe I get from some of their like breakdowns and stuff. Anyway, they put on a fucking phenomenal set and played a lot of stuff from the Nightmare Logic, which I was very happy about. They played the title track. They played Executioner's Tax. A couple other songs off the top of my head. I can't remember titles. I'm sorry, I'm getting old, and that's what happens when you get old. Is you forget shit all the time. But they were just really kick-ass. They put in 200%. They just tore up that stage, and oh man, they look great out there. They're definitely a band that I could see moving on to bigger and better things. I could see them moving up from, I'm sure they've had their own headline tours of smaller venues, but I could see them headlining big venues. I mean, they're that good. They could be, they could be the next Slayer, I think. They're an excellent fucking band. And, I'd never seen them before live, so that was even better, because, sorry, I gotta let the dog in, because we keep it real here at THKD TV. Anyway, Power Trip were excellent. They just had control of the audience. Everybody was headbanging, going crazy. It seemed like a lot of people were unfamiliar, and they won them over. I was headbanging their entire fucking set. It was great. definitely, if you have not heard Power Trip yet, definitely check them out. Definitely go see them live, get a chance, because it was killer. I'd love to see them in a smaller venue, a more intimate venue. I think that would really kick ass, but they look great up there on that big stage at GSR, so they could definitely get up to that next level, no problems. I don't foresee any issues with them getting to be like Mastodon level at some point. Anyway, moving on, next was Venom Inc. And I knew what to expect from Venom Inc., but I didn't know what to expect, because obviously I know Mantis and Tony Dolan, Demolition Man, both former members of Venom. And I saw Kronos' Venom back in, was that 2005 or 2006, when I was down in LA area interning for Metal Blade Records. We went to, I think it was Venom, High on Fire, and Goat Horror, I believe was the show, and I saw Kronos' Venom, and they were kick-ass, but of course that's just Kronos and some other guys, you know. It's not Mantis, and Abaddon was in Venom Inc. also, but I guess he has since left, so I'm not sure who their drummer is, but I know obviously Mantis and Tony Dolan are in the band. And they put on a kick-ass set, Venom Inc. did. Played a lot of classics. They busted out Warhead, which is, I fucking love that song. They played black metal. They played Don't Burn the Witch. They played like 10 songs, and the majority of them were classics. They played it pretty safe. They only played, I think, 2 songs from the new album that they put out here recently on Nuclear Blast. That album's called Ave, and I think the songs they played were Metal We Bleed and War. If someone was there and I'm wrong about that, please correct me if I'm wrong. But they put on a great set, but something about it just didn't click with me. I didn't get into it as much as I did Mutoid Man set or Power Trip set, and I can't really say why. Maybe it was just a little bit of fatigue setting in after 2 really kick-ass bands. I just was kind of needing a little break, because again, I'm old, so that's what happens when you go to a 4-band bill, is you need to, when you get old and you go to a 4-band bill, you need to like take a break and fucking chill out somewhere in there, and maybe that's what happened. I don't know, that old people fatigue set in, but whatever the case, something about their set, and I've been thinking about this today, trying to figure out why, but it just didn't quite click with me. They busted out all the classics, they played a ton of crowd pleasers, but I don't know, something. For me, there was just something not quite there, and I'm not sure why, because they pulled it off. It was really a flawless set, but so I can't say why it didn't connect with me on that deeper level. I don't know. I'm still trying to figure it out. Maybe we can talk about it again in a future episode if I ever kind of have that epiphany moment where I figure out why it just didn't quite click. But anyway. Nonetheless, that's not a knock on Venom Inc. Like I said, they put on a great set. It just didn't quite hit me the way the first 2 bands did. So then, of course, we come to Danzig, the man. Those of you that have followed THKD since it started off as just a written blog and we didn't have the YouTube component yet, know that I am a Danzig super fan. I fucking love Danzig. I love everything he's ever put his name on. Misfits, Samhain, all the Danzig shit. Even the years where a lot of people didn't care for Danzig, you know, past the first 4 albums. I followed all that shit. I celebrate his entire fucking catalog. Danzig's my favorite band. It's that simple. Since middle school, Danzig's been my favorite band, and I've been following him ever since. But in spite of that, the funny thing is, for a long time, I never thought I'd get the chance to see Danzig live. Every time he would come anywhere near me, something would happen. The first time he came, I think it was a bill with Metallica and Suicidal Tendencies, and I was only like maybe 12 or 13 years old, but I was already getting into Danzig, and my parents would not let me go. You know, I was probably too young to go to a show like that, honestly, at that age. I don't know, I guess parents take their kids to shows like that now. I see it all the time, but back then things were a little different, and yeah, couldn't talk my parents into taking me, nor could I talk them into letting me go with friends or anything of that nature. You know, I think some people went with an older brother or something like that, and I couldn't talk them into letting me do that either. But my mom did make up for it later on by taking me to see Ozzy Osbourne, which was my first metal concert. So I didn't get to see Danzig, but later on I got to see Ozzy Osbourne for the first time on the No More Tears tour. I think that was No More Tours. Was that? Yeah. Anyway, so it is what it is. I didn't get to see Danzig then. Another time, I I think I was in college and didn't have a car, and my ride to the gig fell through, so I couldn't go to that one. Another time, he was supposed to play up in Minneapolis, and he canceled. So I didn't get to see him until the 25th anniversary tour. That was the first time I got to see him, and that was in Minneapolis as well. And the opening bands were not anything I would ever be interested in. I think one of them was Huntress. I think the other one was some band that Joey Jordison was in. I don't know. He's in like a million fucking bands. But anyway, nothing I would ever care about. But I went, you know, still obviously it was a chance to see Danzig finally. So I went, and it was fantastic. He just put on a kick-ass show. You know, he's in his 60s and still got it. Kicked that, or maybe he was only in his 50s then. I don't remember. Anyway, he's still, whatever the fact is, he was worthy of a "You Still Got It" chant, and played all the classics. And not only that, but he brought out Doyle at that gig, and they played a mini set of Misfits songs. So I just about died. That hit me right in the... right there, you know, it's just like amazing shit. So not only did I get to see Danzig for the first time at that gig, but I got to see him play fucking Misfits songs with Doyle. So, yeah. That was a great first time to see Danzig as far as I'm concerned. It might have took me 20 years to see him, but I finally got to see him. Anyway, history lesson aside, I'm sure it has way more about me than you ever wanted to know. But this, so of course, this was my second time seeing Danzig, so I've seen Danzig at the Minneapolis gig back in, that was the 25th anniversary tour, so that was about 5 years ago. Yeah, it had to have been. And then I saw Sam Hain play down in San Francisco, and so now my second time seeing Danzig here at Grand Sierra in Reno, and once again, just phenomenal. Phenomenal set from Danzig. Everything I had hoped for. Just great sounding set. The band was tight, which of course is Johnny Kelly from Typo on drums, Steve Zing, who you know from Sam Hain, on bass, and Tommy Victor from Prong on guitar, and of course Danzig himself. His voice still sounds fantastic. He still just is so energetic and so entertaining on stage. And of course they just busted out, this is the 30th anniversary, they just busted out classic after classic. They played Mother, Am I Demon, How the Gods Kill, Dirty Black Summer, Tired of Being Alive, Long Way Back from Hell, Snakes of Christ. It was just, man, just a greatest hit set, basically. He also played, he's been opening with Skin Carver for a long time now, I believe, and that was, that song is from Circle of Snakes, which is also an album I love. That was his 8th album, and that's just a fantastic and underrated album that nobody seems to really pay much attention to, because it was kind of that period where Danzig's popularity, I think, it kind of waned as far as the public is concerned. But man, Circle of Snakes is a really good album. More people need to go back and check it out. So I'm glad he still plays Skin Carver, because hopefully that'll encourage people to go check out Circle of Snakes. But anyway, he also played 2 songs from his most recent album, Black Laden Crown. He played Eyes Ripping Fire and Devil on Highway 9, and they both sounded fantastic. You know, I like Black Laden Crown. I haven't quite got to the point where I love it yet. I like everything Danzig has ever done, but that album has taken a while to click with me. And after last night, I really want to go back and listen to the whole album, because man, those songs played live just took on a whole other life, and I really got into them. So I definitely want to go back and spend some more time with Black Laden Crown now, because wow. Those songs sounded great. They sounded just as good as the classics, as far as within the context of his live set. And it was cool that he kind of went through each period of Danzig. You know, he played some newer stuff. Then he went back to Danzig 1, then Lucifuge, then of course How the Gods Kill. He played Bringer of Death from Danzig 4, which was also cool, because that's an album he doesn't seem to play a lot of stuff from, so it's definitely cool to hear Bringer of Death. I saw on a couple of other set lists from this tour that he was playing Black Mass from Danzig 7, which I was hoping he would play last night, just because I feel like that period of Danzig, beyond the first 4 albums, deserves more appreciation than what it gets. And if you go to my blog, the THKD blog, I actually wrote an article about Danzig beyond the first 4 albums, where I kind of go through and talk about all the albums from Black Acid Devil all the way up to Black Laden Crown. So if you want to know about Danzig beyond the classic first 4, definitely go check that out. Plug. Anyway, just a phenomenal set. I was totally satisfied and beyond by what he played. It was just, I mean, it was Danzig. What more can you ask for? Danzig is Danzig. He's, in my opinion, he's one of the greatest of all time. He's a legend, a metal god. You know, people want to talk shit about him or make fun of him. Well, fuck those people, because Danzig's great. Danzig could come to Sacramento right now, walk into my house, and kick me in the balls repeatedly, and I would still think he was the greatest. So, Danzig haters, here's to you. But anyway, yeah, Danzig, wow. Great set. Couldn't have been happier with it. He sounded great. The band sounded great. They were having some kind of technical problems, apparently. I could see Danzig was getting a little agitated, and he walked off stage at some point. It looked like he was yelling at someone, but me, I didn't even notice. I was so caught up in the set itself, and that I didn't even notice any technical difficulties they were having, if they were even, you know, maybe it was just something that they noticed that we didn't. I noticed when he was talking in between songs, his voice sounded a little bit muffled in the beginning, so maybe that had something to do with it. I'm not sure. Whatever the case, I didn't notice any technical difficulties, so for me it was a perfect night. Great set from Danzig, and if you, I don't know if there's any more dates left on this tour. I think there might be a few, but certainly go check him out if you haven't. If you haven't seen Danzig in a long time, or you've never got to see him, still worth seeing. Now, this is coming from a super fan, so take for that what you will. I'm a little bit biased, but anyway, great night of music, and I highly recommend seeing Danzig. I recommend checking out Mutoid Man if you haven't heard about them yet. Apparently they've been around for a little while. You guys probably know more about it than I do, but if you haven't heard them, definitely check them out. Power Trip is badass, and you need to check them out if you haven't yet by now. They're pretty much everywhere, it seems like, and I think everybody knows about them and likes them by now. So, but if for some reason you haven't, definitely go check them out. And then, of course, Venom Inc., like I said, even though their set didn't quite click with me, still a very good set, and I think they're also a band I'd like to see play in a smaller, more intimate venue, and I think I might get a little more out of it. I'm not sure, but props to Venom Inc., even though their set was probably my least favorite of the night. But overall, great night of metal, great night of music, and can't ask for anything more than that. I'll go ahead and put up some links for each band in the description box on this video, so if you want to check them out, definitely do so. Unfortunately, Danzig has a no photos, no videos policy, so I can't put any photos or videos up because I don't have any. I think my wife may or may not have stuck a few photos, so I'm going to check that out probably later tonight and see. And if so, I'll put those up on my blog or on the THKD Facebook. They'll show up somewhere. But anyway, do you guys like Danzig? Do you dig Power Trip, Mutoid Man, or Venom Inc? You know, I don't really, like I said, as I've said in previous videos, I'm not really a fan of comment sections, but if you want to hit me up on Twitter, Facebook, email, let's chat, man. I want to talk metal with you guys, so hit me up. Until then, take it easy.